Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Extra Frame. This is Matt Cannizzaro. We're live at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes here in Citrus Heights, California. It is the cashier's round at the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. Only 32 players remain here in contention for 12 spots in match play. They're going to bowl 6 games in this cashier's round. And total pinfall for 18 games will determine the top 12 who advance to match play. So this is game number 1 just getting underway. We have 2 pairs in play today. It's going to be 11 and 12 and 15 and 16. So we'll have all the details for you along the way here. Right now, you're watching lanes 11 and 12. Diana Zavialova, Rocio Restrepo, and Shayna from Singapore. So sit back and enjoy. We'll switch back and forth between our 2 pairs. And we'll have a rundown of the standings for you and all the details in just a minute. Thanks for tuning in. Again, this is Matt Cannizzaro, and you're watching live coverage of the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. All right, as we get settled in here for 6 games of the cashier's round, let's take a look at our other featured pair today, 15 and 16. We've got Christina Wendell and Missy Parkin doing work on this pair. We've got a 32 lane center here. Not quite using all of it for the cashier's round, but 32 players pulling 6 games will whittle the field down to the top 12 for the unique match play and stepladder format. All right, game number 1 speeding along here. First game of the cashers round. All these players bowled 12 games of qualifying yesterday. And if you want to see how your favorite player did, you can visit PWBA.com or PWBA.com/live and see all the scores from the day. Leading qualifier after 12 games, Angie Ramirez from Colombia. Her score 27-13 plus 313, an average of just over 226. And in the last game, she bowled 258 to go past Wei Fen Nu of Singapore, who was second at plus 285. Carol Giannotti, USBC Hall of Famer from Australia, at plus 267. Shani Pluhowski, the left-hander, is fourth at plus 248. Danielle McEwen, 3-time Team USA Trials winner, rounds out the top 5 at plus 245. 12th right now is Lindsay Boomershine at plus 143. But a lot of players within 10 or 20 pins right now. And the cut to make the top 32, Jackie Carbonetto at plus 60, a 205 average. So she snuck in there just ahead of Sandra Gongora and Summer Jasmine a few pins back. Started the weekend with 80 bowlers, 62 PWBA members, 18 non-members. And those non-members found their way into the event through a tour qualifier on Thursday. Rounded out the field at that 80 number. Then everybody bowled 2 6-game blocks yesterday. Fresh oil each squad, or each block. 45-foot lane pattern this week at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. So the idea, you'll probably see it more today than yesterday. Players are going to migrate farther towards the middle part of the lane. Just the length of the pattern would dictate, at least that's your starting point. And then the amount of friction and such at this facility might allow you to get a little bit farther right than that. But I think with the best of the best here today, you are going to see a little bit different style of play than you did yesterday. These are the folks who know what they're doing a little bit better, have a better idea after yesterday. So again, our 2 featured pairs, 11 and 12 and 15 and 16. On this pair, Diana Z, Rocio Restrepo, and Shayna Ung. So 3 very talented international players. We did have 10 countries represented at this week's PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. 18 international players total. So great representation, a nice contingent from Singapore here. I believe 6 players this week. And always in contention. Format today, very simple. All 32 players will bowl 6 games. Then we'll cut the field down to the top 12. And those 12 players will be split into 2 groups. Odd numbers on one side, even numbers on the other. And they'll bowl 5 games of round-robin match play, followed by a position round. And after that position round, the leader in each group automatically qualifying for the TV show And then the 2, 3, 4 seeds on each side will have their own step ladders. 4 will bowl 3. The winner will bowl number 2. And the winner of each step ladder also advancing to the TV show. And the TV show will be taped May 29th, or 26th, I'm sorry. May 26th during the USBC Queens. And will air on June 21st on CBS Sports Network. So very cool that we can have continued coverage and exposure on CBS Sports Network. 23 events taking place this year. And the first 3 events of the PWBA season will be in the books today. PWBA Las Vegas Open, the nationwide PWBA Sonoma County Open, and now the PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. So 8 qualifiers already headed to Las Vegas for those TV shows. 4 from today will join them. Perhaps we'll have some repeat players. And then those 3 shows will tape May 26th in conjunction with the Live Queens Final. So a lot of women's bowling. It's fantastic this summer. The crowds here have been terrific, even today, early on this Saturday morning. Standing room only here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. You have to take my word for it. But right now you're watching game number 1 roll on. So we'll have 6 total games, then we'll have a cut for you. Appreciate everybody tuning in. This is Matt Canizaro alongside Jason Thomas. And let's take a look at our other featured pair, Missy Parkin and Christina Wendell. If you want to take a look at the standings, again, you can visit pwba.com, or to find everything about today's event in one easy location, pwba.com/live. You also can find some behind the scenes details and photos and such on the official PWBA Facebook page, or find us on Twitter at PWBA Tour. And if you're in the neighborhood, a big supporter nationwide, giving away some prizes and information this weekend. So come watch the best ladies in the world do what they do here on the lanes, and find out what Nationwide can do for you. Great pick up there for Diana. That lane was a little bit tricky for some of our players yesterday. We saw a lot of balls go long on lane 11. And some wacky washouts, 2A10s. Tenth frame about to get underway. First game of 6. Cashers round. 32 top players in the field. Very familiar names remaining here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. Diana Z, they call her. Coming off that big split pickup. Much better shot, but leaves the 10 pin only. Diana entering the day tied for 27th place at plus 86. Gonna pick up about 20 here. Sina Unn coming in 10th at plus 164. She's gonna lose about 20 here. Pair. Just getting into the 10th frame now. Wendell and Parkin. Wendell, last year's runner-up here at the PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. 14th at plus 138. After 12 games yesterday, Missy Parkin, 13th. At plus 141. Compared to our right. Lindsay Boomerstein off to a great start. More strike booster in the 260s. She'll surge from 12th into the top 10. Our featured pair. Wendell's going to go to the bag, try something different on the fill ball. She can get to 209. Missy Parkin can match that score. This is not match play, however. 6 games. Pinfall will add to yesterday's 12-game pinfall. 18-game totals will determine who advances to the top 12 round-robin match play. Pair, just take a look at the scores here. 220 for Diana. Shayna Ung at 180. And Rocio Restrepo can't get to 213. Rocio made the first TV show at the PWBA Las Vegas Open. So great start to the season for her. Looking to continue that momentum. Entered the day 9th at plus 186. Gonna add a few sticks here. Tries to hang on to her spot in the top 12. Pretty good money for the top 32. If you make it in, $1,200 minimum. Rocio finishes with 210. Go back and watch Missy Parkin close things out. Christina Wendell had 209. Parkin can get to 198. And our players will be on the move. We'll have game 2 coming up in just a couple minutes. Again, this is Matt Canizaro alongside Jason Thomas. Continued live coverage at the PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi.
Oh, I think they fixed it. I closed the laptop by mistake with my bag.
Oh, okay.
Game 2 off to a quick start here. Right-hand featured pair, 15 and 16. We have Shannon O'Keefe, USBC Hall of Famer Liz Johnson, and collegiate coach Kayla Bandy. On our other pair, 11 and 12, is Hall of Famer Carol Giannotti from Australia, left-hander Shannon Bluhowski, who made a TV show at the Las Vegas Open as the #1 seed. And former collegiate standout from Indonesia, Tanya Rumenberg. So again, now that we're down to 32 players, chances are you're going to recognize most or all of these great players, the best from around the world. Great international representation here on the PWBA Tour. And I believe the PWBA membership continuing to grow into the triple digits. So second year back, things kicked off in 2015 when the tour returned from a 12-year hiatus. Some of those former players out here proving they've still got it. Giannotti, Carolyn Dorn-Ballard, Leanne Holsenberg, Jody Westner, and of course the middle generation, kind of the lost generation of professional bowling. On the ladies' side, the Deandra Asbades, Missy Parkins. They were just either getting out of college or going into college when the PWBA Tour went away. And then, of course, the new generation, the youngsters, just working their way up through junior gold, through the collegiate ranks now, and getting out just in time. The likes of Danielle McEwen, so a great mix of talent and experience out here on the PWBA Tour. Week to week, just week number 3 of 14 events this year. And we've already got updated standings. Staff here, Kathy Watka, Damon Sirocco, hard at work making things happen quickly. Our new leader, Wei Fen Nu of Singapore, led for part of yesterday. Back on top at plus 339. And Nu almost made the first show at the Las Vegas Open. Did make the second show last week. And in contention here again in week number 3. So 3 great weeks for the member of Team Singapore. And the Singapore squad scheduled to be in town for the first 4 events of the season through the USBC Queens, which is coming up next. Second place, yesterday's leader, Angie Ramirez, plus 336. Jenny Plahowski up to third place with a 248 game, plus 296. Danielle McEwen in fourth at plus 282. And the left-hander from Singapore, Sherry Tan, rounds out the top 5 at plus 271. So, not really any separation yet as we roll through. Already 13 games in the books. Yeah, still pretty tight at the top of the standings. 12th place right now, Mariana Ayala of Puerto Rico at plus 153. But again, another 6 players within 15 pins or so. So a lot can happen in the next 5 games. And we'll have it all for you live here on Extra Frame. If you want to check out the standings for yourself, visit pwba.com, pwba.com/live, and follow your favorite players all the way down to 32nd place right now. Jackie Carbonetto came in at number 32. Started with 222. already up to 28th place, so making her move here early in the cashier's round. Back at our other pair, Bandy, O'Keefe, and Johnson. Be here throughout the cashier's round, and then on to match play. Our two groups, Group A and Group B, and then of course we'll have the dual step ladders. And Jason Thomas is here, listening closely, studying, taking notes. He'll be ready to add his expert analysis throughout the day, and he'll bring you all the great action when it counts the most. Maybe. Jason Thomas, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing well. Get to watch bowling for a living. Can't really be upset about that. Now we've got the best of the best, 32 players, top women in the world. What more could you ask for on a Saturday morning besides cartoons and cereal?
Not much. And, you know, as objective observers, you know, we're not supposed to root for people, but I'm rooting for Shannon O'Keefe to make the top 12 because yesterday she really went above and beyond for the promotion of the tour. Did a great segment on Good Day Sacramento. Was here in the bowling center at 5:30 a.m. and then long day of competition yesterday. You could tell at the end of the day she was really worn out, but she hung in there, made the cut, and is off to a good start this morning. And just because of all of the extra work that she's put in, I would hope that she makes it into the finals tonight.
She's coming off a good week. Last week in Rohnert Park, the number 2 seed for the nationwide PWBA Sonoma County Open. A lot of confidence and momentum there coming in this week, and she's still here. She's still in it. Take a look at the standings to see how close. Right now, a little bit of work to do. She's in 25th place at plus 99. And the number to the top 12, plus 153. But we've seen her shoot some big scores, especially under pressure.
Yeah, she's got a good game going here. Spare 3-bagger to start, so 290 would help. Pretty interesting seeing all the different angles that the players are playing. You've got Shannon playing out, Liz playing kind of in between. Normally she'd be out. You've got Danielle McEwen playing kind of piping it between second and third arrow, keeping it really tight. She's got a string of strikes. Lefties are even kind of all over the place. You got Shannon Plahowski kind of going up 3-4. You got Sherry Tan right next to her with a big string of strikes, about an arrow deeper. Angie Ramirez has got spare 4-bagger. She's playing pretty far left. So a lot of different angles are playing right now, and Shannon O'Keefe with the 4-bagger.
talking to some of the players late last night, just after they had some time to process the day, they talked about the ability of exactly what you just mentioned, the different angles that played. Of course, with the 80 players and different experience and ability levels, we saw pretty good variance in how the lanes were played, but especially early on, you could attack it from those different angles, and it looked pretty good. So even misleading at times, where you think a 45-foot pattern, if you really simplify it and go with your rule of 31, you want to be right around the 14 board or so down the lane there, and you have to take into consideration the lane surface and the amount of friction. And it sounded like the high end of the house hooked a whole bunch, and the lower end a little bit tighter. So if you knew that going in, you certainly could make your adjustments based off of that. And we saw some of our lanes here on extra frame, maybe one lane a little bit tighter than the other. But again, you do your homework, you scout your pair a little bit, and you get the idea. But I think after the first couple games, as the lanes start to transition and all those different angles get crisscrossed and such, they get a little bit interesting. And so some transitions, some lower scores we saw in games 3, 4, and 5 as the players tried to figure out what was going on. And again, it really depends too on who you follow and how they play the lanes. So you always have to be thinking one step ahead. And Shannon O'Keefe now thinking one step ahead, possibly to the top 12 with a great performance here. Spare 5-bagger. And she needs about 60 pins to get back really in the running and then run with it from there.
Yeah, her obstacle, I think, today, she seemed to have a really good look early playing out. But then she would run into trouble kind of midway through the block and then towards the end when she had to make a big jump, because inevitably you're going to have to play third arrow or deeper. And when that happens, obviously the closer you start to there, the easier it is to pick up the transition. Whereas, Shannon, once her hold starts going away, she's going to have to make a really big jump and then figure out, how to get that third arrow to work.
Well, Jason, I know you were back at the room resting comfortably by that part of the night, having had a long day here. Of course, we appreciate your hard work and efforts there. But it's like you were here for that conversation, because it's kind of how it went. It was that, you do have all those different looks to start with, and then once it goes away, it's not a gradual move left for the right-handers. It was a huge move. It was a zone. It was arrows move, because you had players out, you had players in, and then you had a majority of the players kind of in the track area, and things got a little messy. So you had to completely leapfrog all of that if you had started out, and that's exactly what you just described with Shannon. The faster you recognize that, you're not going to fight that, the mid lanes and that crazy ball reaction where you think you throw it well and it skates on you 50 feet, or you cut it short and all of a sudden it's through the face. So you make that huge move, you just know it, you do it, it's brave, and generally either it works or it doesn't.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because today, obviously, less players out on the lanes. Yesterday we had 5 on a pair. Today's only 3. They're not using the whole center. We're only going up to lane 24, and you said the high end hooked a lot more than the low end did, so they should be tighter, and obviously less play. It's going to be interesting to see if Shannon and the rest of the players on the right side that are playing out, how long they can stay out there. I think they're probably all hoping that with less play and bowling on the tighter end of the center, they'll be able to stay out for the whole block. It remains to be seen. It's possible that, assuming they get into the finals, they might be able to play out for match play all night, because then it's only 2 on a pair and you're only using 6 different pairs. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. If it were me and having to bet on it, I'd bet on the righties that are starting more towards third arrow, because I just think the transition's going to be easier. But I have often been wrong. Just ask my wife.
Well, certainly a lot of strategy involved, and I imagine a lot of note-taking yesterday in how the lanes changed or what each pair did. Not a lot of time to really guess at this point. And I think one of the other key things that we saw yesterday was a lot of missed makeable spares. And whether it was the players still here in the top 32 or ones that were just outside, that definitely came into play. And when it's the total pinfall race, you can't give away those pins, not at this level. We had a game yesterday right here on Extra Frame. Kelly Kulik had the front 9. And at the same time, Missy Parkin spared in frames 2 through 10. So she struck on her first shot, she struck on the fill ball. And all spares in the middle. And that's what you have to do when you don't have the look. You have to grind it out and fill the frames. And obviously it worked out for her. She's still here today and still in contention here. So can't give away the easy ones. Not at this level and not if you want a piece of that $60,000 prize fund.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And you know, the extreme length patterns are also more difficult to shoot spares on. The really short patterns are difficult, and the really long patterns. And the short patterns are difficult to make cross lane spares going left to right if you're a right-hander, because the ball picks up a little earlier. You don't have as much build up in the middle part of the lane to push the ball back towards the pin you're trying to convert on the right side. And conversely, on the left side of the lane, you've got a little bit more volume, and it's harder to get the ball over there. And if you're not making those adjustments, and that's kind of what practice is for, how am I going to calibrate my spare alignment so that I can make my left side spares on the longer length patterns? If you don't do that and you assume you're going to shoot it the same way you shoot it normally, you're going to miss a few. Shannon Pahowski, unfortunately, the last 2 shots she's hit the pocket, and both times has been left with the 6-7. She went high in the pocket in her last frame in 6-7, and then light in the pocket frame after that in 6-7.
We had our camera here on Shannon O'Keefe, who had spare 6-bagger, and her string came to an end with the 3-6. And then one pair to our left, Angie Ramirez, was spare 7-bagger, and she went a little bit light, left a 3-pin only. So Angie trying to get back to the top of the standings. Wei Fen Nu, who was leading after 13 games, struggling here in game 14. So there's no doubt Angie will go around her. These two have been back and forth the last few games of the event. Angie got there with a 258 in game 12 yesterday. And then Wei Fen Nu jumped back to the top with 254 to start today. So a lot of leapfrogging and a lot of roller coaster performances, I think, yesterday, where Kelly Kulik's a perfect example. She made the cut, no problem.
Yeah, if those two can just stay 1-2, then they'll be moved to the opposite sides of the bracket or the groups, and they'll be able to focus on trying to defeat their own group.
Well, Kelly yesterday, for just as an example, she qualified 26th at plus 92. First block she was plus 12 with a 289 game. Second block she was plus 80 with a 279 game. So again, a roller coaster, but when she had it, she took advantage of it and found her way into day number 2. She also had a long day yesterday.
She did. She was one of the other players who came out and did the Good Day Sacramento segment. So, I to be fair, I have to root for Kelly too today.
All right, so a lot of great players, and so far through 2 events, we have 8 different players headed for CBS Sports Network. So that's pretty neat to see. The versatility of the ones who are close or in match play each time, but the 8 different players will get exposure And the world will get to see all those different styles. Tenth frame underway here on 11 and 12. Shannon Puhowski and Tanya Rubenper. Gonna finish things off here at first. Puhowski coming to this game third at plus 296. So only about 40 pins behind Ramirez and New. But gonna lose a few sticks here on Ramirez.
Yeah, 172 is about the worst score she could have bowled for as well as she bowled this game. She could easily be shooting 230 this game. A lot of big scores right now out on pairs around us. We've got Shayna Ung shooting 279 going up into the 10th frame. You've got Mariana Ayala with open 6-bagger. We've got Stephanie Johnson putting up a big score. She's on a 7-bagger right now, can shoot 258. 2 more strikes.
Let's go back to our other pair. Check out Shannon O'Keefe in her 10th frame.
Been high on her last 2 shots, so curious to see if maybe her hold is starting to go away. For Shannon, you would expect to see her hold go away quicker than for someone like Stephanie, because Shannon's much more end over end. Ball speed's not quite as high. So for her hold's going to go away quicker than you'd see for Stephanie, somebody whose tilt is a little lower. Shot there. I think she's shaking her head maybe because she didn't like the last 2 shots. And usually when you see someone go dead flush after an open, it's because they're shaking their head about the open from the last frame.
I shake my head a little bit when I watch Shannon O'Keefe bowl as well. Just in disbelief. She's
like
pretty darn good.
Yeah. She doesn't make many bad shots. The next time you see her fall off balance will be the first. Stephanie Johnson finishes with 257 off to our left. We Fen New 184 and Angie Ramirez Perea 267. Shayna Ung needs 1 more strike for 279. So some big moves here in game number 2 of the Cashers round.
Nice effort here in our featured pair. Carol Giannotti, 7th after 13 games. She's 233. Can make a little bit of a move there. Watch O'Keefe and Liz Johnson wrap up game number 2. 6-game block here for the Cashers round. Total pinfall will be added to yesterday's 12 games. An 18-game pinfall will determine the top 12 who advance to round robin match play. Shayna Ung finishes with 279, 1 pair to our right there. 17 and 18. Shannon O'Keefe will be in the 230s.
Yeah, 232 would be a good score, but I'm sure she'll be just a little disappointed after going spare 6-bagger to start. I'm sure she would have hoped for a little more than 230. But we're gonna have to watch to see if she starts to lose her hold a little bit. I think that was just a test shot there. willing to give up the pin to get more of a read. Big 10th frame for Kayla Bandy. These are huge because if you double here, you shoot 190. If you open, you shoot 160. So these are the frames that keep you alive in the tournament, keep the momentum going. It's just like in golf when you make a 8-foot par putt just to keep the round going, keep the momentum going. This is the bowling equivalent of an 8-foot par putt here for Kayla Bandy. And looks like she hasn't had much luck on this lane this game, just 1 strike in 4 attempts so far.
Tough leave. 3-6-9.
Yeah, I would suspect that there was just a little bit of transition going on that pair with both her and Shannon playing out with surface, and Liz Johnson as well. Very likely that they saw their hold go away as the game went on. And there it is, 160. So, tough game there for Kayla Bandy. She's going to lose 40 pins on her plus-minus total, and it's going to have a lot of work to do to get back into this Storm Sacramento Open.
All right, we'll let the players finish up across the house and make their move to the next pair of lanes. We'll have Game 3 coming up in just a minute. This is Matt Canizaro alongside Jason Thomas at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes here for the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. Defending champion Alicia Curran still in the field. We'll catch up with her in the standings here in just a minute. Game 3 coming right up. All right, that took no time at all. Game 3 already underway. Stephanie Johnson, Karen Marcano, and Brianna Cote joining us here on 11 and 12 this game. Our other featured pair, we just saw him here a minute ago. Shannon Pluhowski, Tanya Rupemper, and Carol Giannotti. So we'll bounce back and forth as we have. Thanks everybody for joining us here on this Saturday morning. After 6 games, total pinfall will determine the top 12. They will advance to round robin match play. That will take place at 1 p.m. local time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Followed by the group stepladder final at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. local time. So far, early in game 3, a little bit of a mess here on 11 and 12. Just 1 strike and 1 spare for our 3 players. This is about the time we saw the lanes get a little bit tricky yesterday. However, a little more traffic at the time, so you'd expect that would be delayed a little bit.
Well, it definitely looks like the right lane's hooking more than the left. So all the players have had a chance to throw a shot on each, and see what they do on their second shot around.
Well, that part definitely consistent with what we saw yesterday, at least on our featured pairs, with the right lane hooking a whole bunch more. Nice shot there by Cote, but a flat dime. Take a look here at the 2015 PWBA Rookie of the Year, Stephanie Johnson, before we switch over to our other pair. And then take a look for standings through 2 games of our cashers round. Johnson with the light hit, mixes them up. Take a look down at 15 and 16. New standings are available at pwba.com. Tournament leader Angie Ramirez, the left-hander from Colombia, at plus 403. That 267 game lifted her back into the lead. Wei Fen New, plus 323, so a little separation there. Third place, Sherry Tan, the left-hander from Singapore, plus 307. Fourth is Danielle McEwen at plus 297. Shane Pluhowski, fifth at plus 268. Cut to the top 12, Clara Guerrero, plus 176. So that number jumping up 20 plus pins that game. We talked about Shannon O'Keefe. She is 20th right now at plus 130. So 46 pins out of the number. Missy Park in 13th at plus 156, 20 pins out. Still, it's only game 3. Long way to go. '25 players, plus 100 or better. Jackie Carbonetto continuing to climb her way up. Came in 32. Now up to 26 after games of 212 and 222 at plus 94. So still in the running. Kelly Kulik, 27th, right behind her. And our defending champ, Alicia Current, 23rd at plus 112. 64 pins out of the top 12 right now.
Oh, Jackie Carbonetto makes a 4.67, bounces it out. Just off to the left there. Unexpected spare. I really like what Carol Giannotti's doing here, the way she's playing the lanes. She's been up near the top of the leaderboard all weekend long. And we really haven't seen one of those kind of legendary players from the heyday of the PWBA back in the 90s break through on the new PWBA tour. Liz Johnson obviously had a great season, but she was still pretty early on in her career when the PWBA ceased operations in 2003. We've had some players like Leanne Holsenberg and Carolyn Doran-Ballard have some good weeks, but haven't really seen them break through with a win here on the new PWBA tour. So perhaps Carol Giannotti can be the first one from that group to break through here on the new PWBA. Shannon Plahowski still just fighting it a little bit. She's close. Shot 172 last game, but was in or around the pocket all game long. And with a conversion here, we'll be clean through 5 frames. Another strike for Giannotti. So 209 pace for her. Tanya Rumenper from Indonesia. She is plus 86 and currently 90 pins off the number, but has a good game going here in game number 3. 3 more games after this. So a big game here would go a long way towards getting her closer to that top 12 number, which is what you need to make it into the next round. Our group match play. Shannon Plahowski mixes them up, and when she gets it going, I don't think there's anybody on tour whose ball hits harder than hers. And that usually means a lot of strikes and a lot of big scores. Good shot there from Carol Giannotti. That one just not quite carrying out the 7-pin. Let's check in on our other featured pair. Doesn't look like things have gotten much better. Looks like adjustments have been made on the right lane, and now players missing light. Stephanie Johnson seems to have figured out the right lane. She's going to get up here in the 6th with a chance to throw her first double. Got to watch carefully. This would be when you'd start to see some of that hold from the outside part of the lane going away. And Stephanie catches the first double of the game. Stephanie Johnson currently 16th, just 34 pins back of the cut line, but needs to put together a good back end of the game here to make up some more ground. She can still shoot 241 if she were to take it off the sheet. shot there from Karen Marcano, her first strike of the game. Looks like she jumped in a few boards. Looks like Stephanie Johnson's figured out the correct combination on this pair. She's got a turkey.
Jason, we need to remind our folks watching on Extra Frame, if you're in the neighborhood, or even not in the neighborhood, but close enough to get here, come see us. Round robin match play starts at 1 p.m. local time. So still plenty of time to get over here. And of course, our friends from Nationwide will be here as well. Stop by and speak to George or Karen. Talk about all the great Nationwide products. And enter for your chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Compliments of Nationwide, that's pretty cool. Big supporter here, great sponsors on the PWBA Tour this year. This week, of course, the Storm Sacramento Open. So I know, Jason, you're about knee-deep in all the details. Can you tell us about some of our other proud sponsors here in 2016?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You know, Smithfield obviously came on last season, and they are the sponsor of our Tour Championship, and just have been an absolute excellent sponsor to work with. Anything we've needed, they've been able to come through, and we just announced the location for the Tour Championship this year, so that's going to actually take place right there near Smithfield's headquarters in Virginia, so we're looking forward to that event. Pepsi came on board, the official soft drink of bowling, and now official soft drink of the PWBA. So big name brand there coming through with sponsorship of the Lincoln event. GoBowling.com has come on board to sponsor the Players Championship, so that should be a good one as well. Obviously Nationwide, as you mentioned, and Nationwide sponsored our event last week, and they're also going to be touring around with us and have representatives out at some of our upcoming PWBA Tour stops.
Well, that's a pretty awesome support that we have for the Ladies Tour, not only from the players. Of course, a sold-out field every week, pretty much. 80 players this week here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. And a lot of social media hashtagging going on. The ladies very active out there, spreading the word, getting involved with the youth programs and the next generation. And a lot of these players will go home, and some of them, run coaching clinics or spend a lot of time coaching or do youth events. Really just supporting the game. And it's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, and then you can't forget Storm, who's obviously the sponsor of this event here in Sacramento, and they've done a great job of running some local clinics leading up to this event and last week, and did a nice little barnstorming tour to generate interest for the events in the area, and of course all the other things that Storm does. You just can't say enough about all the support that they put in for bowling. Anytime there's something that the industry needs, Storm seems to step up. So got to thank them as well.
All right, we're going to roll on through 3 more games of our Casters round here coming up, followed by round robin match play. Then the exciting dueling step ladders. And also another big part of these PWBA weekends has been the local support, great volunteers, as well as a terrific turnout for the Pro-Ams. And I know it varies from city to city, and some even running 2 days of Pro-Ams. I know there was some talk yesterday of an upcoming event with an adult Pro-Am one day, a youth Pro-Am the next, and certainly the support of the fans turning out. Also, pretty awesome to see. I guess maybe, again, I'm a little bit starstruck being around all these talented players, especially the ones I watched growing up a little bit. Didn't spend a whole lot of time around the tour, the PBA tour, to know if this is how it really is, or if this really is the next big thing.
Nice conversion there on the kind of unusual 2, 4, 5, 7, 8.
Well, this left-hand pair has been a little bit tricky. I know we used that word a few times over the last day and a half or so. But based on my understanding, this also will be where one of the group step ladders is. And the players will have been through the house many, many times throughout the last 2 days and should have a pretty good idea on how things are going to look and play.
Saw Wei Fen Nu in the right side of our screen there, finishing up her game. She shot 237. Angie Ramirez Correa can shoot 214 if she strikes out for 10th, and which would be great because she only had 94 in the 6th. So looks like she'll keep her lead, but lose a little bit of it.
So every pin very important as we roll on here. We'll split up into 2 groups of 6 once we get down to 12 players, and then after match play, the leader based on pinfall and bonus pins after those 6 games automatically will advance to the TV show. Then the 1-2 seed determined by total pinfall of those 2 leaders. Definitely a little bit of extra confidence knowing that you're on the TV show. Only need to win 1 game for the title rather than potentially end up 3rd if you're the number 2 seed. So I imagine that just like last week, our position round could get pretty exciting.
Yeah, you basically are doubling your chances of it being exciting when you've got 2 going on at the same time. So we do our best to cover all of it for you here on Extra Frame. And we'll also have a cut coming up here in a couple more games to our top 12. So every round today, there's some players going home.
Check out our 15 and 16 featured pair as they get into the 10th frame, get ready to wrap up. Sonia Rumenper finishes with 201. Kohowski will be at 207. Kohowski plus 268 in 5th place coming into this game. Tanya down in 28th place at plus 86. So she's going to have a whole lot of work to do in the last 3 games to get into the top 12. Our final player on that pair, Kale Giannotti, the Hall of Famer, said she didn't feel so great about things last week. Just wasn't in time and rhythm spent some time enjoying the sights of San Francisco this week, and spent a lot of time on the lanes practicing, trying to get everything tuned up, and clearly it has worked. She was on top of the leaderboard for part of yesterday, and now coming into this game 6th at plus 258, but working on another big game, get to 249, and make a run at Angie Ramirez and Wei Fen Nu. As soon as I say that, washout.
Yeah, but you know, the thing that's nice for her is that the lanes are starting to transition, and she's already in the right part of the lane. She's not going to have to make any big jumps, and she got through those first 3 games with a decent score. You know, she struggled to start, but last 2 games now has gone 233, and then this is going to be 234 or 5 or 6, depending on 5, 4, 234. Now, you know, you would assume that she's kind of in her wheelhouse as far as, you know, the spot to the right where she's playing a little bit more burned up, and now might have a little bit of room these last 3 games to make a run.
Well, you kind of look at the 45-foot pattern, and then you look at the players and their experience, and just kind of how they roll the ball, and you can pick out a few who you feel we're going to have success this week. Carol Giannotti being one of them. Kind of peg Kelly Kulik, being able to get left a little bit, and you know, wheel it when she has to. But you know, it seemed yesterday that Wei Fen Nu was the deepest of all the players, at least that came through our pairs, and she was the leader. And then others started to catch on and started moving left. And you know, again, it was about jumping that zone where most of the players were, and seemed to work out. But Kelly and Carol, Leanne Holstenberg, kind of have that type of ball roll to where you'd expect them to succeed on this type of pattern, and they have. And right now, it looks like we're going to get a chance to see Leanne Holstenberg as we wrap up game number 3. Karen Marcano is going to finish things up for us. Players are going to be on the move. We'll have game 4 and the updated standings coming up in just a few minutes. And Jason Thomas is unable to contain his excitement. I don't disagree. We're going to save a little bit for later on, because I can tell you from last week, the dueling step ladders, very cool format, very exciting, a lot going on at once, and we'll have it all for you live here on Extra Frame, the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. Game 4 coming up in just a minute. Thanks for tuning in.
here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes, 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. Here on Extra Frame, I'm Jason Thomas. We've got Jody Wessner, our featured pair. First frame, she strikes. She's bowling alongside Amber Vega, local player who won a spot into this week's tournament. Made the cut. And PWBA legend Leanne Holsenberg, 27-time PWBA champion. Trying to fight for a spot in the top 12 later today. We're awaiting our 15-game update so we can give you the situation here on where these players stand, with just 3 more games left before we make our cut.
All right, we are back in business, rolling along here. Game number 4 of 6, and pretty soon 20 players will be headed home or off to Las Vegas for the next event. Pretty interesting to hear from the players and kind of their travel plans and what they've been up to. But right now they've traveled to our featured pairs, Leanne Holsenberg, Jody Wessner, and Amber Vega. And our other featured pair, Jackie Carbonetto, Angie Ramirez, and Wei Fen New. Standings already updated through game 15. That's 3 games of today's Cashers round. Angie Ramirez still on top, plus 379. Wei Fen New making up almost 60 pins at plus 360. Sherry Tan, the left-hander from Singapore, plus 308. Danielle McEwen, 301. Carol Giannotti rounds out the top 5 at plus 292. So still no separation as we get moving here again. After 6 games of the Cashers round, the field will be cut to the top 12. Odd numbers will go one way, even numbers will go the other. 2 6-player groups. Cut line, a tie for 11th place at plus 181, so that number continues to be on the rise. Mariana Ayala of Puerto Rico, 249 in game 3. Kayla Bandy going the other direction, 160, 185 her last 2, so she is down to 181. Claire Guerrero at plus 176, Christina Wendell 175. Not too far out. Stephanie Johnson trying to find her way back into the top 12 after a tough week last week in Rohnert Park. She's at plus 158. So at this point, still, Shannon O'Keefe down in 20th place, plus 134. Really, anybody in the top 24 has a legitimate chance at making the top 12 right now with 3 games to go. Alicia Current, our defending champ, is 24th at plus 112. So 70 pins out with 3 games to go. Definitely some possibilities for excitement here. And you're watching it all live here on Extra Frame. We've got Holstenberg, Vega, and Westner. Here on this pair, we'll switch over to 15 and 16 as they make a score correction. Our other pair, well, while they work on that, we'll come back to the Hall of Famer, Leanne Holstenberg. Boomer, as they called her back in the day. Same classic style. It's timeless, really, Jason Thomas. We get a chance to relive the old days a little bit as Holstenberg, Carol Dorn Ballard, Carol Giannotti mixing in with the new generation. And CDB, talked to her quite a bit about last year being back on tour. A little bit different scenario for them. It's not as full-on week-to-week 100% travel this year and last year. The new PWBA tour really taking place Thursday through Saturday, so giving the players a chance to work their real jobs, their 9-to-5s perhaps, have the abbreviated schedule. Everything kind of unofficial through Thursday night. Practice session, VIP reception. Just a chance for the players to get comfortable and get to know the folks in the host city. But things really get going on Friday morning with a practice session bright and early, followed by 2 6-game blocks of match play, or of qualifying, and a cashers round Saturday, followed by match play. So a lot of bowling going on over 2 days. But the ability for bowlers like Jody Westner to go home and work, and it sounds like a lot of the players have very cooperative employers, allowing them to perhaps condense the work week into 3 or 4 days, or allow them to take some work with them so that they can compete and earn a real living at home while they get out here and get comfortable. And say, so far, an opportunity for some decent money, some decent prize money, but having that fallback at home has been good as they transition perhaps from that now back to the touring life. Coming into this game, Leanne Holstenberg, 27th at plus 90. 91 pins out of the top 12 with 3 to go. Amber Vega is down in 32nd place, having a little bit of a tough day today. 520 start. She's at plus 20 overall. Westner only 40 pins out in 18th place at plus 141. Switch back over to our other pair, Carbonetto, Ramirez, and New. Ramirez and New 1-2 right now, plus 379 and plus 360. Carbonetto is working her way up the standings, but now in 29th place. 3 games to go, no strikes here in game 4, however. Jason Thomas, I think you're losing your touch a little bit. We haven't seen a 4-5 on this pair all day long.
It's early. It's still early. Usually, I think they came more towards the end of the block when the front started to hook. And then some of the ladies, you know, fighting the front part of the lane hooking, and then you've got this long pattern. You've got a ball that hooks early and then hits foil. That's not a good combination for pin carry. Stone 9. Good shot there for Angie. Wasn't on a strike though, so it doesn't hurt her too much. Do that on a strike, it costs you 20.
Jason, we have some exciting shows coming up after the first couple of events this PWBA season. Take a look at the very first show. Shannon Pluhowski, Sandra Gongora, Liz Johnson, and Rocio Restrepo.
Yeah, if you like the power game, you're gonna enjoy watching Sandra Gongora throw it.
In our second show, 4 different faces. Kelly Kulik earning the #1 seed. Shannon O'Keefe, Wei Fen New, and Jennifer Higgins, who made 2 Queen shows back in 13 and 14. Good to see her back on TV as the, well, at this point, I guess the leading contender for Rookie of the Year. She didn't join last year. Just waited to see how things went, I guess, and now.
Well, you'd also have to say Hui Fen Nu, who we're watching here, would be in that category as well. She made one of the shows and almost made the other, and could very well make this one too. Fighting for back and forth for the lead right now. And again, if you're a fan of the power game, another big power player here.
We'll have our 4 finalists from this event advance to the Las Vegas finals as well. All those shows being taped May 26th during the USBC Queens. The Queens show will be live. The other 3 will air each Tuesday starting June 7th on CBS Sports Network. Best in the world. Mix in some intercollegiate team and singles championships. Later on, Junior Gold. And it'll be a pretty awesome summer for bowling on the CBS Sports Network. Hall of Famer Olsenberg here on our other pair. Right now, we'll watch one more shot from Wei Fen Nu. Of course, a terrific shot and a strike. Here on 11 and 12, Hall of Famer Leon Holstenberg without a strike so far in game number 4. Westner trying to climb her way up the standings from 18th place. On a double. High flush for the strike, I think. That's the most direct we've seen on that lane. Just not giving the ball any room to wiggle to the right or just zipping it in, and great result.
Yeah, you talked a little before about Leanne and Kelly Kulik, players who like to see the ball make a big move on the back part of the lane. You know, they're obviously so talented that they've been able to find a way to get there and advance in the tournament. But what we're seeing is with the games on the fresh, they're just not straight enough through the front part of the lane to kind of hang in there with the players that have a little bit of a better look. And you know, we're getting towards the end of the block here, so you might see them. I mean, both of them have made moves late in blocks to get into the finals. We saw Kelly shoot 289 after the lanes had burned up a little bit in the first qualifying round, and then a 279 once the lanes had burned up a little bit in the second qualifying round. But you know, they're going to have to figure out a way to hit them on the fresh if they're going to want to keep going in this tournament. And both of them are going to need to make some big moves these last 3 games if they're going to survive.
Jason Jody Wessner finished yesterday with 280. Jump all the way to 20th place at the end of qualifying. Big clutch performance for her to get there. Otherwise, obviously, without that big game, would not have been enough, perhaps. The number was plus 60, a 205 average to make the top 32. Another terrific shot there.
Nice. The frozen rope. Yeah, 260 would be huge right now. Right now, 40 pins back of the number, Jody Wessner.
Big string down yonder, Shannon Pluchowski. 256 possibility. She's 4th right now at plus 248. She'll make up some pretty good ground on Ramirez and New, unless they can get things going as well. New not bowling bad at all this game. Ramirez, 3 strikes in the first 6 frames. Pluchowski definitely putting the pressure on here. Look at Wessner, the frozen rope, as you say, zipping it down there, almost get to the fallback point, but very high flush on this lane last time. Wonder if there was an adjustment of any kind, or if it works, stick with it. That one a little bit farther right, still fantastic look for Jody Wester.
Yeah, she's got everything right now. She's got, I mean, the ball's hitting really hard, so that's what you like to see. Possible 260. You would think that the lanes are starting to get into that same look that she had last night when she shot 280. Stephanie Johnson gives it a fist pump there. She can shoot 248 this game, and that would more than likely jump her into the top 12. She's just 23 pins back of the number. Big shot there for Leanne Holzenberg. She's currently plus 90, 91 pins back, and was in danger of shooting a real low one here, but can bail it out and still shoot 222 with 3 more strikes in the 10th. And that would keep her alive. She'd need a couple of big games, the last 2 to make it, but could have shot herself out of the tournament. Look out for Danielle McEwen. She's currently in 4th place. In this game, she's got spare 8-bagger. So we might see her possibly jump into the lead depending on what Angie Ramirez, Perea, and Weifan Nu can do this game. Jody Westner's string comes to an end at 5. Good shot there, but can't mix out the 7 pins, so she can still shoot 239. And that would put her close to the number. It would get her to plus 180. The number currently plus 181.
We've got eyes on McEwen. Down 4 pairs over. Yeah, 290 possibility. Currently 5th. Ramirez and Nu both striking here in game number 4 as well. Ending up on the same pair here. Really pushing each other, I think. Back and forth and maintaining those top 2 positions here for the last handful of games.
Danielle's had 2 really solid weeks in our first 2 events, but yet to make a show.
Jody Westner's going to be in the 230s. We'll flip over to the Ramirez Nu Carbonetto pair. Danielle opens in the 10th. Looks like 253. Right next door, Stephanie Johnson. Going to be in the 240s. She's plus 102, so she's putting herself in contention here with 2 games to go.
Stephanie Johnson, even with that split on the fill, shoots 244. So that was a big game for her. That will more than likely move her into the top 12. Leanne Holzenberg, big 10th frame here, trying to stay alive. One more strike will put her in the 220s. Open frame there probably would have knocked her out of the tournament, but she did get the first strike in the 10th. So trying to hang on, give herself a chance. With 2 to go. She can definitely strike once she gets it going.
Definitely throwing a few in her day.
And she finished 250 last night to make the cut, so she's going to need something similar to make the top 12.
Saw her make a memorable return to the spotlight back in 2011, was it? At the U.S. Women's Open at Cowboy Stadium. Some very cool pictures of her and the family celebrating after that win. Made a Queen's show in 2013. Now working full-time for our tournament sponsor, Storm, here in Utah.
There's no doubt in my mind that if the tour had continued, she would be the all-time titles leader. She's just a few behind Lisa Wagner for that all-time number. She's got 27, Lisa with 33. She'd probably have 40 or 50 if the tour had continued. But I know that's still something that she would like to accomplish. That drives her to compete is getting that all-time titles number.
Well, still plenty of time thanks to all the great partnerships that made the PWBA happen. And this is year 2 of a 3-year guarantee at least. And 14 events this year. Standard events pay $10,000 to the winner, $60,000 prize fund. Make the top 32, guaranteed $1,200. And with the limited fields, 80 this week, just over a 1-in-2 ratio to get in the money. Pretty enticing for the ladies out there. And everybody you're watching today in this cashier's round, already guaranteed $1,200. And we'll get ready for this game to wrap up. Wei Fen Nu, Angie Ramirez, and Jackie Carbonetto. Jason, while we have you here, are you able to tell us a little bit about the upcoming events, how to enter, and what the entry fees might be, just to put it in perspective for perhaps some of the bowling fans, the young ladies out there want to give it a try?
Yeah, absolutely. The Queens is coming up next week, and then we've got another swing starting in Wichita, Kansas, and there'll be 3 standard events in that swing, and then that swing will conclude with the Players Championship. Entry fees for members are $300. It's $300 to join, and entry fee for guests is $400. There's a little bit of a different entry procedure this year. Members have priority, so if a guest enters the tournament, they'll be placed on the qualifier list, and then if there are spots available in the tournament on the day prior to the start, those players will all be entered into the field. If there are more entries than spots available, then we will have a qualifier, which is what we did this week. We don't anticipate having any more than in Lincoln, which is also a 32-lane center. We've got some bigger centers on the list this year, so if you are a guest and you do enter one of those events other than Lincoln, the chances are that you will get in without having to bowl a qualifier. So go ahead and enter. But a lot of new benefits this year for PWBA members. We've added a practice center program. Currently, there's about 100 centers that have signed up for that program, which allows PWBA members to bowl at reduced rates for practice. So check that out on pwba.com to see if there's a participating center in your local area. And if there doesn't happen to be, then definitely go and have a conversation with your local center and see if you can get them to give us a call to sign up. We'll be happy to do that for them. There's some benefits involved with that as well. 300 ring program this year. Any player who bowls a 300 in PWBA competition will receive a special PWBA 300 ring. And obviously the entry priority and discounted entry fees for members. So check it out on PWBA.com on the Join tab and find out all the great benefits of becoming a PWBA member.
All right, Jason Thomas, thank you for all the great details there. And if you missed any part of that, again, PWBA.com for all the info. And what I got out of that was you can spend $300 or $400 for non-members for the chance to bowl against the best in the world, and basically got 1 in 2, 1 in 3 chance of tripling your money if you're able to grind out on these challenging lane conditions. Last week 37 feet, this week 45 feet, and 205 average. This week 195 last week to get a check. So if you can keep the ball in the pocket and make your spares, you gotta like your chances of making some money. Of course, taking travel and all that into consideration. Still, just the chance to compete for a professional title. Bet that 300 ring's pretty sweet as well. And we'll be giving one to Diana Zabialova, who bowled 300 last week at the nationwide PWBA Sonoma County Open, the very first game. So that was pretty awesome. Right here on Extra Frame, we got a clip of it on the official PWBA Facebook page. Thousands of people viewing that. Always cool to see a 300 regardless. But Diana, a rising star in the sport. And the only one of the week. Kelly Kulik had 297. And so far, no 300s here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes.
Yeah, and just for some of the players who bowled 300 on tour last year, the members, this young lady right here that we're watching on our featured pair, Christina Wendell, had one in Welch, Minnesota, and she will be receiving the 300 ring. So we're going to go back and award all the players that bowled one in competition last year with a ring. Clara Guerrero, one of those players. She's on our other featured pair. We'll get to see her here in a moment.
Claire's came at the U.S. Women's Open.
Yes.
Samantha Shadden as well.
Yes, correct. Christina Wendell bowled hers in Welch, Minnesota. She'll get one. She's making some fun gestures to her friends sitting in the crowd. But yeah, we'll be awarding those rings here in the next couple of weeks.
Christina was the runner-up here at the Storm Sacramento Open last year to Alicia Curran. I don't imagine that you can go back and retroactively award her the title, so she's going to have to bowl her way to the one this year.
Yeah, no, we can't do that, but did have a great tournament here last year. Just ran into Alicia Curran, who just got red hot in that stepladder.
Last year it was the first standard event of the new PWBA tour. It followed the Queens, which kicked off the return of the tour, but it was about 4 weeks later. So, but just nobody really knew what to expect coming in the door. Full house, a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum carried over from last year. And I think everybody getting more comfortable with the whole setup and situation. And but pretty cool for Alicia Curran to say she was the first standard event champion of the new tour, and now trying to make it 2 in a row. Still in contention here in 2016, but Christina Wendell, the runner-up last year, also looking to hoist that trophy here. Standings already up after 16 games. 2 games left before we make the cut to the top 12. And it's a nail biter at the top of the standings. Angie Ramirez plus 391. Wei Fen Nu plus 386. So 5-pin separation there. Danielle McEwen plus 354. Sherry Tan, the left-hander, plus 334. Shani Pluhowski close behind. Also a left-hander at plus 329. Rounding out the top 5, Carol Giannotti is 6th at plus 316. And then a bit of a drop-off to Lindsay Boomershine at plus 261 in 7th. 12th place right now, plus 209. That is Clara Guerrero But Stephanie Johnson only 7 pins back at plus 202. Kayla Bandy in 14 at plus 190. And as we get later in the block, you mentioned that's kind of where we were seeing some of the bigger games. For Kelly Kulik yesterday, it was game 4. For Jody Westner, it was game 6 with the 280 to get into the number safely. And with a little bit less traffic today, it's kind of that game 4 time frame going to come a little bit later, and we should be getting pretty close to that right now as far as the amount of balls that have gone down the lane. So we'll see, of course, as it gets down to that exciting moment and the cut number, perhaps some of these talented players will step up with some fireworks for us. Our featured pair here, Christina Wendell and Missy Parkin, come into this game. Wendell is 16th at plus 165, so definitely some work to do. And Missy Parkin is 20th at plus 132. So she'll have her work cut out for her as well.
That number's jumping. Players kicking it into high gear going down the stretch.
Well, there's some players stepping up on our other pair, 15 and 16. Alvarado, Ruffner, and Guerrero. Alvarado 3 for 3. Guerrero looking to go spare double here.
She's made a nice move today, 889 for her first 4. Playing that outside part of the lane, and there's a double.
Clara is the number right now at plus 209. Needs to keep the pedal down. Ruffner down in 29th place. Alvarado in 32nd. So I think those two are pretty much bowling for pride at this point, and perhaps just to get more comfortable on this type of lane condition as they move forward to the USBC Queens coming up in just a couple weeks now. All right, Mr. Thomas, we are getting very close to that cut time. This game plus one more. And then we get down to the very unique two-group match play and step ladder. I know you are a big part of the process in creating that exciting environment, so I'll give you the opportunity to explain it a little bit to the folks at home.
Yeah, well, it's definitely unique. It's not a format that I've personally ever seen in professional competition, but I think it's very exciting for the fans and also for the players. Last season, the format was similar on day one, 12 games of qualifying. But the difference between last year and this year is that instead of cutting to the top 16 and doing a round-robin match play, which would be taking place on today's portion of the competition all day, we cut to the top 32. And those 32 are your cashers, and they get an opportunity to bowl 6 more games, which is what we're seeing right now. And then after these 6, we will cut to the top 12. And then those 12 players are broken into 2 groups based on their finishing positions. So the odd-numbered players, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, are in one group, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 are in another group. And then those players will bowl 6 more games within their group against every other player in the group of round-robin match play. And at the end of all of those games, the top player on each group will advance to the stepladder finals, televised portion. And they will be the number 1 and 2 seeds based on pinfall. The next 3 on each group advance to the group stepladder finals, with the number 2 player being the number 1 seed, and then the 3 and 4 players being the 2 and 3 seeds. We bowl each other in the first match, and the winner of that match will advance to the group stepladder final title match, and the winners of those matches will advance to the TV show as well as the numbers 3 and 4 seeds. And seeding will be determined by tournament average at that point. So that's how we determine our final 4. And that event final will be taped on May 26th, on the same day as the live Queens finals, and they'll air later on CBS Sports Network. So you can check all those air times on PWBA.com. Have our broadcast schedule, also our Extra Frame broadcast schedule for our next Extra Frame event, which will take place next week at the Queens. We've also got some Bull TV coverage of the Senior Queens, which will happen prior to the Queens.
That was a pretty good explanation from Jason Thomas, formerly the bowling guy.
The artist.
And now that you're all caught up, please enjoy continued live coverage of the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. We've been here through 12 games of qualifying and on our way to the 18th game. This is game 5 of the Cashers round. One more game coming up, and then 20 players will disappear. Get their prize checks and head on to the next stop while the top 12 remain for match play. Clara Guerrero trying to hang in there. She's the number 12 spot right now with 2 games to go, and the 7-10 trying to deny her entry.
Just a bad break right there. You know, you're trying to make a run to the cut. You've got a good game going, and you throw a great shot, hit the pocket, and leave that. We saw Jackie Carbonetto bounce the pin out and make the 4-6-7. Maybe Clara can do the same here with the 7-10. No such luck. So now Clara, after 7-10 and an open frame, is on a 2:06 pace. Kelly Kulik there on the left edge of our screen. It's got a possible 2:37, and if she were to, she really needs it, because at this point she's at plus 127 and currently 82 pins behind the cut number. So 2:37 this game would help, but she would still need a pretty huge game 6 to make it into the top 12.
That number going up about 20 pins a game today. And our leaders trying to do some work. Angie Ramirez looks like she's got the front 6 way down on 21 and 22. And Wei Fen Nu appears to be struggling in this game, so this could be the separation for Angie Ramirez. But at this point, as the 1-2, each of them will head to different directions when we split up the top 12. And then it would be the leader of each group advancing to the TV show automatically. Right now, Ramirez about 40 pins ahead of Danielle McEwen, who's in 3rd place. They would be in the same group, however. Pretty close in the top 10 right now. Top 6 for sure. But a huge game here for the left-hander. Definitely would help. Confidence going into the top 12. And of course, the minute you talk about it,
6-8.
again, Jason, the scores on 11 and 12. A little bit of a struggle. Good news is that match play, the way to spread out, all the players will move across the house and get a chance to hit all the different pairs. Of course, when average and pinfall come into play, gotta keep it as even as possible. Then, of course, when it gets down to the stepladder portion, players will bowl each other and they'll bowl in the same pair. So it'll be all good then as well. Couple big games underway nearby. Diana Zavialova. She's at plus 120 in 23rd place. And can get to 258 this game, so that'll at least
give her a chance.
Put her close with a game to go. Last week, she was on her way to being the #1 seed to the TV show. And a split. She opened in the 10th frame in the position round against Kelly Kulik. And Kelly went on to get the #1 seed. Diana made one of the step ladders and came up a little bit short after not being out of the top 2 the entire weekend. So, I mean, that's just part of the format, which is unique and exciting, and anything can happen kind of way.
Yeah, that's a rough way to miss the show after bowling great all week.
Christina Wendell right now 16th at plus 165. 44 pins out. Looking to finish strong here. Runner-up last year. Redemption makes a great story. Makes for good TV as well. Imagine that sometime when we're in Las Vegas, TV crew will sit down with each of the players and hear the tales of the tour. Make each show unique and interesting. So far, 8 different players. Wendell's going to be in the 220s here. See if she can step up in the clutch. Game number 6 coming up next.
Yeah, that was a big finish here this game. That 4-bagger to put her in the 220s. That's going to give her a good chance. She shoots 230, 240. That's probably going to be enough.
Diana will be in the 250s. Looking comfortable with 1 game to go. Get your calculators out, get your pencils ready. Try to figure out this mess as game 6 comes up here in just a few minutes. Wendell finishes with 221. Missy Park is going to wrap things up on 11 and 12 here.
You know, Matt, I was not at the event last week. It was the first event that I've missed since the new PWBA started, but my services were required at the Go Bowling 400 race in Kansas City, and it was my first NASCAR race. But it struck me how similar the sport of auto racing is to a bowling event, and it probably doesn't sound like that's possible, but if you hear me out, it's just amazing how the similarities in how the cars are constantly jockeying for position, and one car will hit the wall and have to go to pit road and lose a few spots, and then they get passed by a bunch of cars, and it dawned on me how similar it is to bowling, where a player might be leading and hit a pair that they don't like and shoot 160, and 4 players go by them, and it's very similar to how these ladies are basically racing for the top 4 spots.
Well, it's about to turn from a round and round NASCAR race to a full-out NHRA sprint with 1 game to go. 165 for Missy Parker, 221 for Christina Wendell. We're back to our other featured pair. The only player on this pair in contention at this point, Clara Guerrero. She was the number at plus 209 coming into this game, and a couple of splits trying to make her final game really difficult.
Yeah, suffering a little bit of a flat tire here in the 9th frame.
We got some pretty good pit crews around here as well to get her situated. Should be glad to get on to the next one, but Diana with her 258 gets to plus 178.
I mean, look at the game Clara's bowled. I mean, she's the number right now, so obviously a lot of pressure on her to keep it going and keep ahead of those cars that are pushing up behind her. And she's bowled a great game. I mean, she's got spare 3-bagger spare, all those shots in the pocket, 7-10 in the pocket, then a double, and then maybe a bad shot. Maybe the lane hooked on her a little bit, not sure. But she's on a 201 pace, and she goes strike spare in the 10th and shoots 201. She's probably going to be passed by several cars, and she really didn't do all that much wrong.
A lot of the players say they don't like to look at the scoreboards in the standings, and I don't know. Do you believe them? Do you think that they bowl 12 or 18 games and really don't pay attention to what's going on? They just bowl their game and get all they can?
Yeah, I do. I do believe that some players do that. To me, it's kind of strange, because to me the reason that you compete is to put yourself in that situation where you feel the pressure and see if you can perform. And I just think it's a little odd and foreign to not want to feel that. I think all the great players bowl that way. I think they do look at the scoreboard and they do know what they need. And look at another horrible break there for Clara. That was a great shot, and can't shake out the 4-pin. But I think the really great players all know what they need, and they're able to rise to the occasion in spite of all the pressure. Now, I'm sure there have been some great players that weren't scoreboard watchers as well, that just focused on the process. But to me, it's not as fun to play the game that way as it is to know what you need and then perform when you need it.
Well, it's about to be time for some players to perform. No real separation. There's still a lot of possibilities here. That's what makes it exciting for the viewers at home. Extra frame. (11 and 12). Floor's already here. Sherry Tan, Maria Jose Rodriguez, and Danielle McEwen. McEwen and Tan looking pretty good to make the top 12. Maria gonna need a whole lot of strikes, and perhaps 11 and 12, not the best destination for that. Scores have been a little bit lower so far today.
It seems like a few players have had a good look. We saw Jody Wessner have a pretty good look, with kind of playing the fallback, frozen rope shot. 2 more games of friction. Just had a little injury report from one of our fans watching on Extra Frame, and mentioned that Christina is suffering from a pulled muscle in her leg, and he's taped it up and he's toughing it out, and still has a chance going into the last game. So gutsy performance from her.
Well, Jason, even with the only 2 or 3 days of competition, that's still pretty grueling, I think, going from week to week. Couple travel days in between. Ladies want to practice and work out. I think last week I talked to Shannon O'Keefe. We had a 3-hour break between squads or blocks. She was going to go back to the hotel and run on the treadmill. And there you have it. Turning our attention back to our featured pair, 11 and 12. Jason Thomas has delivered late in the block, as promised. The old 4-5 Aaron Smith for Danielle McEwen. I saw 2 yesterday. Both of them picked up. Let's see if we can stay perfect. And we do. Splits it.
Yes, and that's the first time we've seen someone throw a spare ball at it. And that was just perfect. Perfection.
That's how you get to be a major champion on the PWBA Tour, doing cool stuff like that.
I don't need to shoot it off my strike line. I'm just that accurate. Danielle's telling herself. These players much deeper than anyone we've seen come to this pair. Obviously, Sherry Tan not going to be that deep, being the lefty.
4 of the 6 players from Singapore in the top 32. And it looks like we're going to see 3 of those 4 at least in match play.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They're out here to win. And they travel as a team. They practice as a team. They come in early. They practice. They have a practice session before the practice session. And they're out there every second of every practice session officially. And boy, they are not here to mess around. That one hits a little better for Danielle. No 4-5 that time. So we should have a look at quite a few players who are trying to make it into the top 12 here in the last game. Looks like we've got our update.
All right, our tournament leader at plus 425, Angie Ramirez, a left-hander, ended up with 234 in game number 5. She now is ahead of Sherry Tan from Singapore. Tan blowing very well, 226, 246 the last 2. So gets you plus 380. So she jumps her teammate, Wei Fen Nu, who is 3rd at plus 368 after a 182 game. Shannon Puhowski 4th at plus 357. Danielle McEwen 5th at plus 346. Carol Giannotti 6th at plus 316. And then a 40-pin separation there. So the top 6, really any of those 6 could be the number 1 spot going into match play. I think more realistically, 2 through 6 up for grabs at this point. Angie Ramirez up 45 on 2nd place. Cut number right now, Mariana Ayala at plus 219. So that number goes up 10 pins. You mentioned Clara bowling a great game, only ending up with 201. Well, she now is 13th, 9 pins out of the number. Christina Wendell, 14th at plus 186. Maria Jose Rodriguez, 15th at plus 179. So 40 pins she's going to need to make up here. She's tied with Kayla Bandy. And Diana is 1 pin back in 17th place at plus 178. So realistically, we're looking at 18 players now. Jody Westner being the last one at plus 171 with an outside chance of shooting a big game here to get into the number. And then Shannon O'Keefe distant at 19th place, plus 148. So a lot of work to be done here. These 18 players battling for 12 spots in match play. Not saying it's impossible for the rest of the field, but going to be a tough task here. And we're already rolling along here in our final game of the Cashers round at the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. So 1 game away from eliminating 20 players.
Maria makes the adjustment there, and she's 40 pins back, so running out of room here. She's got 3 spares and a strike to start the game. Can still shoot 267, and that's probably pretty close to what she's going to need to make it into the top 12. Interesting how Danielle McEwen's choosing to play the lanes. Got a very aggressive piece of equipment with surface and playing left to 4th arrow, which is something you don't typically see late in a block. She's definitely controlling the pocket, and that may just be her strategy. Just control the pocket. Don't need to shoot anything crazy. The only thing that can really hurt you is, 150. But you can tell her ball is just not quite going through the pins as well as it might. That one there was pretty nice, but you hit that high flush and you can knock down 20. Maria Jose Rodriguez pretty much in a must-strike situation. I think she needs at least the next 6 to make the cut. Mr. Cannizzaro. Shannon O'Keefe in a similar predicament, just to our right.
Shannon O'Keefe even 31 pins behind Maria, even so. A lot of potential possibilities here.
Maria not able to carry the 7-pin there, and if she strikes the rest of the way, Matt, that would put her at 247 and would put her plus-minus total at plus 226. And she's going to need some help at that number.
Yeah, the way the numbers have been going up, about 20 pins a game. Last game, just 10 pins.
Then again, you got Rocio Restrepo, who's currently in the number at plus 235. She started this game with open. But she's been very strong closing out games. Diana Zabielova leaves at 210. And after Danielle throws her shot here in the 5th, we'll switch over to that other featured pair as those players all factoring into the cut. See how Danielle's ball hits this time. And it doesn't even get up to the pocket. So she's definitely trying to just control the pocket, not do anything crazy. I think she's okay just shooting 2-0 and starting over on the fresh. Nice spare conversion there for Zabielova. And she waves to the crowd as the crowd goes wild. So Diana, big game in game number 17 to move herself within striking distance of the cut. She's at plus 178, which is 41 pins back of Mariana Ayala. And Mariana just bowling to the right of our featured pair.
Definitely a lot going on right now. Dizzying almost. Looking in all directions. Got the calculator out, the notepad. Trying to lock in who the top 12 will be.
Restrepo makes the adjustment, so she strikes in the fourth, and she's got a little bit of work to do. She's currently in the number, but only 16 ahead, and started off with a couple of open frames. So it's going to need a few strikes to hang in there. Shannon O'Keefe on the left edge of our screen. That miss there in the fifth. She converts the spare, but that's probably going to end her run for the top 12.
Andrew Ramirez to our left, still striking. Looking to hold off. Singapore duo of Wei Fen Nu and Sherry Tan. Tan with 5 out of 6 here in the final game, but missed a single pin. Again, can't do that at this level. And that could end up potentially being the difference between being the leader and being second, but in this format also could eventually work out to her advantage. So we won't know till the end of the day, of course. Either way, should Tana Ramirez go 1-2, they'll be in different groups and will be the leaders respectively going into match play.
Well, you mentioned last week about Diana just barely missing locking up that guaranteed automatic seeding onto the show, and then having to bowl that one-game match in the stepladder. And boy, if it came down to a missed spare costing you that automatic spot, and then having to bowl in the stepladder, that definitely can get into your head.
Well, Diana was up 19 pins, I believe, going into the position round. 30 bonus pins on the line. And split in the 10th was her undoing. But yeah, you take a couple single pins along the way. I mean, that was 24 games in. So a couple single pins or a chop spare along the way, and 2 of those, that's the difference.
Yeah, and then you have to go into that stepladder with a little bit of on a downer, because you think, wow, man, I had it. I was already on the show, and now I got to bowl one more game to get in. You got to think that you're at a mental disadvantage at that point, because the player coming in's already bowled a game on the stepladder pair. They've got nothing to lose. You've got everything to lose. I mean, you can see how that could very quickly go south.
Well, I will tell you that that Diana, after starting with 300 and staying in the top 2 the entire 23 games until that final frame of the 24th game, she then went to the stepladder, just missed a TV show, and was able to regroup and come back for the Pro-Am immediately after all of that happened. So, true professional there, coming back and helping the adults and the youth have a good time at the Pro-Am, despite the disappointment of just missing out on the TV show.
Yeah, and I also know she wasn't feeling well last week. Had some kind of cold. So it looks like Rosia Restrepo has figured out this pair, so now it's just going to come down to execution. She talked to her yesterday about the approaches, and she said on the fresh, when you're sliding a little further to the right, the approaches tend to be a little slippery, and then when you get deeper towards the end of the block where she is now, the approaches seem to be a little sticky. So I noticed on her last shot she was kind of all over the place, and was able to hold the direction just enough to strike, but now for the 3-bagger we'll have to watch that. Diana hated that one on a double. So getting to the point now where the strikes are mandatory.
Jason Thomas getting a little wacky now on lane 12.
Look at this.
It's the
A lefty 4-5.
lefty 4-5. That's right.
What do you call that?
We don't have a name for that one yet.
Yeah.
It's just the 5-6 at this point.
Yeah, it's the lefty Aaron Smith.
There you go.
Sherry Tan off to a good start this game, but flagged a 7-pin, and now leaves the lefty Aaron Smith. And she was battling for the lead.
Yeah, Ramirez pulling well enough that she likely will hold off Tan and New.
I wouldn't mind seeing McEwen make a little ball change here to something with a little less surface on it, just to see. I think, you know, she's in safe at this point. The ball just doesn't seem like it's got a lot of energy, and when she misses right, it should be making it back around the corner at this point in the block. But really the only way she can strike is hit dead flush like she just did there.
She's getting in that area we saw Jody Westner earlier, kind of straight at it, but a little bit of fallback potential there. Then, of course, after this game, we'll take a break, and then the lanes will be freshly oiled again. So we'll start the whole process one more time.
Diana had an interesting issue going on this week. She was balking quite a bit. In fact, enough to the point where she got a warning from the tournament director and director of operations, Damon Sirocco. And I asked her about it after the round yesterday, and she said that last week when she wasn't feeling well, she just got into this little bit of a routine where every now and then she would stop, and then, but it wasn't because of any particular reason. She just stopped and started to become aware of it. And this week, it's kind of carried over. And she said, it's not really anything with my feel or mechanics. It's just I tell myself not to stop, and then I stop because the thought comes into my head. So just one of those little strange things that you see in bowling.
So things getting ready to wrap up here across the house. Final game of the Cashers round here at the 2016 PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. After this game, we'll tabulate the scores. We'll get our top 12 who will advance to round robin match play. That starts at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. here on the West Coast. So there'll be about an hour and a half until we get going here again. And of course, we'll have all the details of today's action for you on PWBA.com later tonight. And we'll be back on the air for match play and then the group step ladder. So it's going to be an exciting afternoon here at Steve Cook's Fireside Lanes. See if we can get an idea of who our top 12 will be in just a minute before we head off the air. Do some quick math, and I think we're pretty situated at this point. Maybe 14 players battling for those 12 spots right now.
So Diana, with that miss in the ninth, looks like she'll come up just a bit short. Rocio Restrepo at plus 235. She was 16 pins ahead of the cut number and 25 pins ahead of the next closest person to the cut, which was Clara Guerrero. With a couple of strikes here in the 9th and 10th, would probably lock up a spot. Oh, gets the 4 to trip. So sets her up for the 10th frame. But an open would put her in the 180s, and that might knock her out of the top 12. So big 10th frame coming up for Rocio Restrepo. Liz Johnson on the left edge of our screen. She'll be in the finals. She can shoot 208 with 2 more strikes this game. And she was at plus 247, so she'll be in. Need to bowl well this afternoon to make it into our group step ladder finals, but she's survived the cut. Kayla Bandy, who's also on that pair with Liz and Shannon O'Keefe. It's going to come up just a bit short. She was plus 179, and best she can shoot this game is 191. And player who was on the number, Mariana Ayala, she is bowling next to our featured pair. She'll be up on the lane just to the right of Shayna Ung, where she just threw a strike, and she's got a possible 239, so that's a big finish for her. That would get her into the number. Stephanie Johnson was a factor going into this game. She was at plus 227, and we'll have to get an update on what Stephanie bowled this game. Rihanna leaves the 10 pin. So she can shoot 218 now, best she can shoot, and she's going to have to wait and see what Clara Guerrero did behind her, and also Christina Wendell. She's also in a race with Rocio Restrepo, both of whom were in the number. But Rocio, getting up in the 10th frame now, can shoot 215, which would keep her ahead of Mariana. But if she were to miss here on this first shot in the 10th, Mariana would go around her. So big shot here now for Rocio Restrepo. Wow, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Makes what appears to be a good shot, and the ball hits dead on arrival, leaves an 8-10. And now for sure Mariana's going to go around her. Mariana with 216. And Rocio 183. So now we're just going to have to wait. Unbelievable finish there. Wow. Well, that's going to do it for our action. We're going to leave the stream rolling. And Damon Sirocco, Tournament Director and Director of Operations of the PWBA Tour, will be on shortly to update the fans on hand and you watching at home with our finalists. Got more action coming up in just a little bit here on Extra Frame. So as I mentioned, we'll leave the stream rolling, leave the mics up so you can hear first here on Extra Frame who our top 12 are. Will Rocio Restrepo hold on after that terrible break in the 10th frame and make it into our next round of the event? We'll be back with more coverage here on Extra Frame.
Okay, bowling fans, that concludes round 3 qualifying in this year's PWBA Storm Sacramento Open. We're going to tabulate our scores, and just as soon as we can, we'll announce our top 12 for match play. Just a reminder, match play will start at 1 o'clock. Roll call for the athletes will be 12:15. So hang tight, we'll announce our top 12 as soon as we can.